Shalom, everybody. This is Betty Erica, aka Lady Smooth, daughter of the Most High, daughter of the Most High Ministries, your scribe. And as I'm doing this, I'm talking very softly because my heart is saddened. Yeah, it is. I just been really hurt by the way Yashael, or Yashaelites, Judah, how we behave towards one another as far as couples, marriages, relationships. And I asked the Most High, I said, why are the black men so hostile towards the daughters of Zion? Why is that? Why is Judah, the men, so hostile towards the daughters of Zion? And then the Lord brought me back to the curses of Deuteronomy 28. And he said, really, it's on us to break this curse. The men, it's on them to do the work, to search for the Most High, because they have to respect him as the head of the household, for one, if they want to be able to be the head of their own household, as well as they have to give regard to the leader, which is the Most High, and love the Most High in order to love you, because of the curses of Deuteronomy 28. I was looking at Haley Bailey and what she was going through with her baby father named DDG, and how, so many domestic violence cases among our women, and even women in the public eye. You had Kiki Palmer, just so many things, and it's just like, where's all this anger coming from within our men? I've even experienced so much. Right now I'm going through so much warfare, but he led me to Deuteronomy, and this is not going to be a long video. So he led me to, I have my Sefer here. Sefer. He led me to Deuteronomy 28, verse 54 to 57. So I'm going to read the whole thing. And it reads, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and towards the woman of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Now we know that a lot of black fathers have been forced to leave the household due to, financial reasons, and maybe they're not financially well off, and they take it out on the woman. Lots of times that's kind of what I'm feeling. I'm getting. Also, they don't feel, back then they didn't feel like a man, so to speak, because during those times of slavery, the master was over your whole household. So how can the black man lead the household when he has a leader of himself, over him? It would bring such anger. And it seems like those same anger has carried throughout the genes. I don't know, because it's still happening today. And I'm just like, we need to pray for our men. And the men need to submit to God, and they need to pray in order to get guidance from the Most High to lead their household. Because right now there's a lot of disconcord. And it's not happening in other races like that. I don't hear about Chinese men hitting on their women and cussing them out. And I don't hear, too many Hispanic men doing it. I don't hear too many, if it is white men, they do it, or whatever, they probably do it when they get drunk. However, that's their household. But I'm dealing with the house of Yashael, the house of Judah, the 12 tribes. we should not be behaving in this manner. We shouldn't. And young men, you need to stop. Young men, old men, you need to stop. You need to stop. Get your house in order. Women, don't stand for it, because the day you do stand for it is the day it's going to continue. A man is going to do only what you allow him to do. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. That's why I'm single now. I'm not having it, because you're not going to run me. You know, when that time comes, when I'm fully there with my partner, the world will know it, because it's not going to happen in my household. I'm not going to allow it to, you know. And a matter of fact, the Holy Spirit is not going to allow it to. That's the reason why sometimes isolation is a protection, you know. And it's not good for men to be alone. It's not good. And that means for women. It's really not good for us to be alone. But if one needs to work on their behavior before you're joined together, so be it. Let the process take place in the way that it's supposed to. Okay, so shall I read? This is verse 55. Also, you know, we know that they left the children, okay? And it says, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat. Now, that can be kind of confusing to people, right? Back in slavery days, there were a lot of famine and things like that, but that is not really what that means. I believe it can be part of what it means, but the main meat of what it means is we are eating our own children symbolically, because places like McDonald's is not healthy for us, okay? I'm not going to say, allegedly, there has been claims of certain bad food in McDonald's, okay? Let's just say that. And I noticed that a lot of McDonald's chains is not really in certain areas. It's mainly only in towards the black and brown community. I mean, you know, if it is in another area, hey, it may be a top-notch chain. It may be one of the ones that they saved from the corporation, from going into corporation. I don't know. Okay, so to me, that's what that means. Because he has nothing left him in the siege and in the straightness wherewith your enemies shall distress you in all your gates. Okay, every day we have to fight, right? Every day there's an enemy towards the black man, cops, gang banging, gang activity. Just every day he has to watch over his head. We know that. 56 says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards the man of her bosom, and towards her son, and towards her daughter. Now, you have some women these days that are angry, you know. Thank God I'm not one of them. I try not to be. People bring the anger out of me. But I don't let anybody I try not to let anybody control my emotions. You know, it's hard when you're dealing with somebody you love, though, right? However, you have angry women, and you have some of them that bully their own men. Like I said, when it comes to domestic violence, it goes both ways, women and men. Okay. You have some women that are jealous of their own daughters. You have some women that, you know, beat their kids halfway to death because they're angry. They may not have a lot. You have some of them that don't want to work. You have some of them that don't want to, you know, do things, you know, and they're angry and bitter. And this message is just to say, we need to stop. We need to break that cycle. Break the curses of strife between men and women. First of all, it starts there before it can get to the kids, because the man is the head of the household and the woman follows. You two first, then the kids. It needs to be broken. That cycle needs to be broken, and we need to come together, because this is our bloodline reforming and coming back to set an example to the next generation. And for the Most High's eyes, because the men, you will be judged by your actions, because you're first. You are the first, okay? 57, and towards her young one that comes out from between her feet, and towards her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straight hands, and wherewith your enemies shall distress you in your gates. So in slavery days, like I said, now I don't know what happened during that time where there was a famine and they were forced to eat their kids. That's a whole different story. But right now, I know the Most High pointed out McDonald's to me, and a lot of these certain food chains that we should not be eating. It's not good. I even saw a video with a bear. He didn't even want the burger. So if the bear don't want the burger, what makes you think it's not something good? Okay. Allegedly, I have to say. The little child that comes between her feet, that's her baby, her young one, and I've seen parents stressed out back then, even growing up in school. I just thank God for my grandparents. They raised me well. My mother was in the Army. My dad was always working, but I would say that I had a very good conservative grandmother. And this one girl, I'm almost done with the video, but this one girl I went to school with, she was so sweet. And I remember we were walking each other home. We were walking home. I was walking her home first, and then I would go home. And this was in junior high school. And her mother was so angry, just hostile and angry with the girl for no reason. And I get it, because I think the mother worked hard hours. I don't know if she was in security or what, but she was always mad. And that little girl was doing all the cooking when she come home and stuff like that. So she had cooked something, and I was there for a little bit, spend a little time with her before I went home. And I think she made like some beans and rice or something like that, And then the mother just came home and just threw the pots, just flicked the pots on the floor and said, "I don't want no dang beans and rice." But she said the real word, DAM. And I said, "Okay, I'm about to leave now." I left, and I hope everything's okay, and blah, 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 blah. And then she just went off on that girl, and I think she even beat her, if I'm not mistaken. But the girl, after all of that, she just said, "That's just my mom. She's just," I asked her, like, what happened. She said she just didn't want no beans and whatever. But she didn't say it like in a sad way. She was still okay with her mother's behavior, but I guess she understood that her mother was a single mom. She was angry. She was probably holding all the bills together and just angry at everything. So we have to break that cycle and avoid for those things to happen, because a sweet girl like her, she really just didn't deserve. She didn't deserve that. And it hurted my feelings to watch that. I really like to see that. And I told my grandmother about it, and my grandmother said, some people just run their house differently, and you have to pray for them. So I just wanted to share that, because my heart was very sad after hearing after going through my own situations and thinking about all of the things that I've been through with men, and how women are still going through it, and also like Bailey, Little Mermaid. She's so beautiful, and she just, to me, she just seemed like a little nice girl. Like she don't deserve to go through all that strife with her baby dad. And what is the hostility from him when it comes to her? I just can't understand. So I don't understand the hostility of a lot of these men, and they're taking it out on the women. So we need to break the cycle. And that is Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. So that's part of the curses of our bloodline that we need to break. And the reason why I'm piggybacking off of this, because I just did a video that says the sword will not depart from the house of David, the house of Judah. And you guys check that video out. I just did that one not too long ago. And so with that being said, this cycle also needs to be broken. Okay? And shalom, everybody. And we pray Psalms 91 on this channel. And signing off, your scribe. Bye.